Hey, a pleasant Sunday. Good morning to everybody. Good to be with all of you. It's Casual Sunday. And are you aware that this is Mental Health Awareness Month? Yesterday, I gave a public talk on mental health awareness for the city of Culver City in the county of Los Angeles. Spoke at a park. Good turnout. It was nice to see everybody there. And then a few days before that, I participated in a drumming circle downtown Los Angeles. It was sponsored by an organization that I consult to, Drumming for Your Life. And that was pretty amazing. It was the largest drumming circle in Los Angeles history. Pretty cool. And if you're interested in drumming and its effects on mental health, I wrote an article with the director of Drumming for Your Life, and you could find it on my website. The use of drumming and rhythm for healing and therapy. So that's on my website if you want to go over there and check that out. And today, the fifth day of the challenge, the fourth pillar of resilience and success is physical balance and mastery. And every one of my 9 pillars is integral in my comprehensive model of living your best life. Physical balance and mastery is really about your ability for self-regulation. You know, you go to the doctor and your blood pressure is a little high. In fact, this happened to me. This is a few years ago, I went to my doctor and my blood pressure was a little bit high to my surprise. And the doctor said, I said, so let's do something about it. And the doctor said, okay, well, we'll monitor you. And, you know, if this persists or gets worse, you know, we'll give you some kind of medication. And that's the opposite of the real goal of resilience, which is self-regulation. So that was a warning to me. And I kind of did an assessment, a personal assessment. Was I carrying like anger, frustration, resentment that I needed to let go of? Was I not doing enough relaxation, bringing my nervous system activation down to balance how much I was stressing my nervous system, to keep that into a place of balance? And I began doing my biofeedback on a daily basis. Biofeedback, as I've mentioned before, is a way of monitoring my physiology and taking 10 minutes a day to go into a more calm and actually to learn how to go into a more calm state. And the next time, well, I didn't go back to that doctor, by the way. I went back to a different doctor and my blood pressure was back into the normal range. But I bring this up because this is the fourth pillar, physical balance and mastery. We are all jumping from one stress to the other throughout the day. And there's 2 ways that you can control this. On the one hand, you can determine, do I really need to activate my body for each of the kinds of stresses that I'm activating to? So there may be a conflict in your life. Do I really need to be so upset about this conflict, or is there a way I can let go of it? Because that will reduce the activation of my nervous system. But perhaps most important, we all need to find a way 5 to 10 minutes a day to practice some form of relaxation. And there's no other way around it. If you're continually turning on your sympathetic arousal, you have to engage in some practice of doing the opposite. And so on my website, I have a relaxation exercise. It's free. You can go to my website and find it. But find some way. It could be a meditation. It could be mindfulness training. It could be biofeedback. They're now very inexpensive biofeedback devices, $100-200, that you can use on a regular basis to tune into your nervous system activation. In fact, take a moment right now to notice what you're feeling in your body. Some of you might notice a tension in your jaw. elevated activation of your shoulders. These are all parts of the stress response that becomes a ongoing pattern that we engage in. In other words, we guard against the world so much that you want to mobilize for a stress, and then you want to relax after the stress is over. But we engage in so many experiences of stress that we mobilize, and then ultimately we stay in that mobilized position. So here's the lesson for today. The lesson for today is to start paying attention to how often in your day you turn on the stress response. So, for example, if you wake up and are concerned about what can go wrong in your day today, you mobilize your stress response. Your brain doesn't say, well, let me wait until something happens. If it's concerned that something might happen, it's already mobilizing. Okay, so make note of that. See if there's some situations where you could say to yourself, I don't have to mobilize. I don't have to be on guard right now. You may walk into an environment where there are people that maybe you're concerned are going to judge you. You will have a stress response to that. Ask yourself again, do I need to be mobilizing my stress response? Now, remember also, even if you're concerned about a relationship, we have one stress response, as I've said before, which is a fight or flight response. You're not going to fight or run from that situation. So we have tremendous ability at neuroplasticity. Remember that. That means we could literally re-engineer how we interact with our environment. Now, you may walk into an environment, you may be concerned, oh, Joe is going to be there and, he could be kind of critical of me, which would trigger the stress response. But you can interrupt that response. You can come in and say, well, wait a second. Yeah, that's true. But I can still go in a more relaxed way, even though I'm concerned about his response or his judgments. Okay. So what we're doing here, which is another part of resilience, is separating out the situation from your reaction to the situation. Even though the situation may be a challenge to you, you don't necessarily have to mobilize your entire body to deal with that situation. You can, when I work with athletes, this is something that I teach athletes all the time. What is the ideal stress response for us in this environment? The ideal stress response is a response that takes the components of fight or flight that are useful, that serve us: focus, attention, goal-oriented behavior. And what are the parts of the stress response that don't serve us? Muscle tension, activation of our nervous system to where we're speeding up our heart rate and blood pressure. Those we don't need for the typical situations we encounter. So today, this is about a greater awareness of your relationship to how you react to the stresses in your life, with the goal of getting the two branches of your nervous system in balance. One of the biggest pandemics in our society right now is difficulty either falling asleep, staying asleep, or getting restorative sleep. And the reason is exactly what we're talking about right now. So if you have difficulty going down to the deeper levels of calm, it's going to make it more difficult for you to fall asleep at night. If you're worried, concerned about things going on in your life, you're excuse me. You're not going to be able to go into the deepest level of calm, of sleep. That's where the best and most effective restoration of the resources of your body take place. We have an interesting system in our body that's actually just recently been discovered. It's called our glymphatic system. And this is a system that engages when we're in the deepest levels of sleep. And it's basically a system in the brain that pulls out all of the toxins and cleans the brain. Amazing. We have all these amazing systems in our body designed for our greatest health. But we have to participate. We have to be a partner in this process. It's not automatic. And, sleep medications maybe knock you out, get you to sleep, but they're not going to get you into this deeper place of sleep where the glymphatic system engages. Okay. So the only way to have that happen, particularly if you're having difficulty with sleep, is to practice some form of relaxation. And then the other important component of it is that I've talked about islands of safety. Remember, when we don't feel safe, we engage the stress response. If we feel safe, our body says, okay, I can calm down because there's no danger. We have to create the conditions, the circumstances for our bodies to say, okay, we can go into a place of calm and restorative processes. So in particular, when you go to sleep at night, you want to preface going to sleep. In fact, I invite people to create a 10, 15-minute sleep ritual right before sleep in which you engage in self-grooming behavior, but also saying to yourself, I'm going into my sleep time where I'm completely safe. I don't have to worry about anything. And this is true even if you have issues during the day. You have to literally create a psychological boundary around your sleep time. The time you go to sleep, the time you wake up, you have to, and this is training, personal training. This is my sleep time. I'm going to handle life best tomorrow if during this sleep time, I focus on only one thing, and that's getting a good night's sleep. So these are all tips for you, but they're not tips that you can just engage and it happens. You have to keep practicing and practicing. So the lessons of today, first, start paying attention to how much you trigger the stress response and throw your system out of balance. And then engage in some form of relaxation to compensate for all the times you're activating the stress response. And then sleep hygiene, best ways of getting a good deep night's sleep. Realizing that all of these, remember, growth mindset means that any of these lessons are lessons that happen over time with continued practice. Okay? So assess your level of pillar number 4, activation of your nervous system, keeping the two branches, sympathetic activation, parasympathetic recovery, in balance. How well up to now have you been doing that? And then make the decision to improve upon that. And you will grow your ability on this 4th pillar of resilience. Thank you. Have a great day today. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we will talk about mental balance and mastery. Take care.